Good evening. I now call the Sherborn Board of Health meeting of May 20th, 2026 to order at 7:05 p.m. Welcome to our new member, Bose. Bose, so you know, when we vote by roll call, we do it by alphabetical last name. So tonight you will be in the middle of the three-person roll call. This is a virtual meeting and board members are required to announce their presence via state law. Steve, can you please start?
Steve Constantine, present.
Bose Kuchpareko, present.
Julie Dreyfus, present. Do we have any unanticipated items that we need to amend the agenda? I'm looking to Mark and Sarah.
No, the beaver permit's on there. That's for the railroad culvert that's off of Forest Street south side, just so they know that you know the location.
We have an additional temporary food permit that was submitted for approval.
Okay. What is it for?
I just want to make sure that I have the right name. Sorry, I recently moved, and so my setup is a little bit different.
Understood.
You're still in front of Town Hall, though.
I am still in front of Town Hall. Oh, you know what? Never mind. It's on there. It came in at Monday. I didn't know if I put it in or not, and I guess I did. So
Okay, I think I may have it outdated. Is it the Hut Island?
it's Big Little Pies.
Big Little Pies. I think I may not have the most current version. Okay. I think we will need to we'll probably have to pull up this list when we get there because
Yep.
I think I have not printed the most recent.
No worries.
So we do not need to amend the agenda this evening, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, excellent. In that case, the agenda stands as posted. Just to review, we have a scheduled variance hearing at 7:30 for 21 Golding Street East. We have bedrock disruption permit reviews for 57, 61, 63, and 65 Farm beginning at 7:50 p.m. We do not have any chairs business this evening. We do have a number of items for agents business, which I believe we have a person here for now. We have a couple of administrator updates and then a number of food permits as well as other business. So Mark, why don't we take agents business?
Sure.
If 20 Nason Hill, right?
Yes, thank you. Since they've been here at the beginning of the meeting, I appreciate it. 20 Nason Hill Road. Unfortunately, during the process of the installation of the septic system, they discovered a good area of ledge that was in the area of the width of the septic system's leaching area. You'll see it as you enlarge. It's that you'll see it says ledge, a narrow point still. You're right on it. You had it. Yep, there. So that ledge that the arrow was on was discovered, and so they had to lengthen the leaching system and shorten the width so they would avoid the ledge. They have excavated out, so we know that ledge is pretty much in the location shown. They have submitted a resubmittal for the original three-bedroom design. This is a repair, and it's for a three-bedroom house staying three bedrooms with this innovative alternative technology, which is the Presby technology, also called Enviro Chambers. So with that said, they also, as the board has seen before, they designed, because it's IA, a separate location for a conventional system if for some reason the Presby system ever failed. So I'm going to be recommending to the board, after any questions, that this be approved as a revision to a previously approved plan based on the information I just provided for a three-bedroom house at 20 Nason Hill Road.
Thank you, Mark.
You're
It
welcome.
looks like this was talk about when they went to do their test pits. I mean, literally the ledge was between the two, and who would have
Yeah.
guessed it was there? It's very, very unlucky.
Yes.
Yes, very unlucky.
Yeah, I hope you did not play the lottery that day too.
And just so the board knows, the design engineers here as well. That's Bruce Wilson.
Okay.
Any questions? I'd be glad. Basically, we had 210 lineal feet of Presby pipe. It was originally 6 rows of 35 feet. Now we have 3 rows of 70 feet. So it's basically the same design. The Presby pipe gets laid level, so there's no grade change across the whole field. It's there. And actually, to be honest with you, I'm the gentleman that approved the Presby system in Massachusetts with the first pilot program. The Presby pipe actually works better in the longer lengths. So, I mean, in a way, this is probably a better system. Also to note, with the Presby approvals, a minimum of 400 square feet of leaching or 210 lineal feet of pipe is required anywhere from a 2-bedroom to a 4-bedroom. So basically, the 3-bedroom has extra capacity here too. So it's actually a pretty good system for them.
And that is correct, Bruce. You had a design per the manual for the Presby, which you have at the 70 lineal feet per bedroom. So you're right on with the notice that you just made. I don't know if you have any additional information you would like to add. If not, I would recommend approval to the board.
Just to clarify for the record, you'll have to zoom out slightly, Sarah, if you don't mind.
What was that, Julie?
I'm just asking Sarah to zoom out because I just want to
Oh,
make sure
okay,
that we
sure.
are, or maybe we might have to go in a little. I want to just make sure that we note this 135-foot distance marker. That is not my understanding, and Mark, please correct me, that is not to a neighboring well, that is to the property line. Is that correct?
That is correct. This address consists of 3 lots, and Bruce showed on the second page that distance of the 135 to the lot line of the 3 lots.
And
When you draw the 20 scale, you can't get
No.
the whole 6 acres on there.
That's okay. And we do have your sheet 2 of 2, so we saw that, but that's a good point, Julie, to make, because and as you noted, Bruce, you kind of couldn't throw it on the one plan, but here we go.
Yeah.
It shows it to them. There we go with the arrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And looking at it, it looks like the well setbacks to the on-site well and to the abutting well, none of that has actually changed as you have lengthened the system. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's kind of a rural area here. There aren't any wells probably within 200-300 feet of the property line, never mind the septic system.
Yeah. That was the only clarification that I had. I think you've done a good job accounting for the unforeseen.
And Julie, if I may, there was one
Yeah.
question I think you and Sarah both had. And the decks that are being shown on the plan,
Yeah.
those are on sonotubes and not full foundation, so they're the appropriate distance. Is that correct to the septic tank and leaching field? Is that correct?
That's
Bruce?
correct. That's
Thank
correct,
you.
yes.
Thank you. And thank you for the changes. This is for a 3-bedroom house.
Well, when you run into difficulties, you got to land on your feet and do your best.
Yeah, you've been you expedited this in a great way. So thank you.
Thank you.
Steve or Bose, do you have any questions on this?
I think it looks pretty straightforward. I can see the changes they made. I don't have any questions.
Yeah.
Neither do I. And yeah, I think the pivot was fantastic, and you figured out the best way to address the situation. It's
Yeah.
great.
So Mark, we do not need to restate the original conditions for approval. We just need to have a motion to approve the revision as proposed.
Yeah, a revision to a previously approved plan that did have waivers, and you're just approving the changes to that original previously approved plan that had the approved waivers. That is correct.
And this plan was submitted on May 19th of this year. Is that right? So we can date the version.
Yeah, and Bruce actually gave us an updated version just to make sure it says 3. You'll see 4 on this plan, 4 bedrooms. If you look within the house footprint, you'll see 4. Bruce did submit a plan this morning to show it as 3. So that has been changed, and that will be the plan that gets stamped.
So one of the folder had, the one that I'm looking at that was in the folder had the update to 3. And so I think it might be, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, sorry,
the whole document, yeah.
The plan that was sent when I downloaded it as a PDF, I only got page 1 and page 2 didn't change. So when we started talking about page 2, I just pulled up the old plan.
That's okay. As long as
That's
it's
correct.
understood.
No changes to page 2.
That's
Yeah.
fine. As long as it's understood, it's a 3-bedroom house that we're approving.
Right, can I have a motion to approve the revision as proposed on the May 19th, 2026 submittal to a previously approved plan for 20 Nason Hill.
So moved.
Bose, would you be willing to second that motion?
Yes, I do.
Any discussion amongst the board? Hearing none.
Steve
can you say
Constantine, aye.
anything?
Aye. Bose, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. Motion passes 3-0.
Great.
Good luck with the rest of with your construction.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
No
Thank you,
worries.
I
everyone.
think we're going
Have a
well.
good evening.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. All right.
Okay, let's. Do you want me to continue, Julie?
Yeah, I don't recognize any of the other folks
Yeah,
here. So if you
Eric's here
know,
waiting on the public hearing for
yes,
20.
I do recognize Eric. I just mean I don't know if there's anyone else here for your business where I just don't recognize.
That I don't know. I have Farm Pond, I have 155 Maple Street soil testing, and the 10-day emergency permit for a beaver, for eradication of the beavers, removal of the beavers.
Was Miss Morale gonna come for 155 Maple?
I don't know. I was more my update. I think she's realizes that we're all happy with the update. The update is that Conservation Commission received the appropriate applications, permit fee, and advertising fee. That seemed to be the tie-up. They didn't understand that they had to pay the fee for the advertising for the Conservation Commission hearing, which will be held tomorrow. So once that's held, I can schedule the soil testing. So we're satisfied. When I say we, obviously our department, but conservation as well. And hopefully everything will go well with the hearing tomorrow so we can conduct the soil testing within the next few weeks. That would be my report for 155 Maple Street.
Mark, do we need to have, because this is a project that we have sent benchmarks and they have not been.
Julie, you froze up. I think. There you are. You're back.
Okay, I'm sorry. This has been a project that we've been tracking for over 5 months now. And at our last meeting, we discussed how this had not been, the benchmarks were not being met, and we wanted to potentially discuss punitive actions. Just to keep this project on track, because it does look like it's going in the right direction. Do you think that we need to have a motion to set the next benchmark, which for me, assuming that they get their RDA at the Concom hearing tomorrow, that by our June 3rd meeting, that they would have scheduled soil testing with you and their engineer?
I would hope they would have. I will schedule that most likely on Monday of next week. It depends on the
Not Monday.
engineering.
You won't do it on Monday. It's a holiday.
Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
But I usually see when septic systems are expedited from the time of testing to installation, it's usually 3 months. So we're going to be almost in June. So I would ask that the benchmark be the end of August, by August 31st, that the septic system be installed.
But I think what I'm kind of breaking down that into more specific steps, kind of
Sure,
walking through for
sure.
each step to
Soil
make sure that
testing.
we are. So my suggestion to the rest of the board members would be is that assuming that they receive their determination of their RDA from Concom tomorrow, that they will need to have at least scheduled soil testing with our agent by our June 3rd meeting. I recognize that they may not be able to actually get out there and do it, but they need to at least have scheduled it because that will show that they are progressing forward at a timely fashion. Board members, what do you think? I know, Bose, you're coming into this in the middle of it, so I understand that would be new, but
Yeah.
for Steve, we have a failed system that is sitting in groundwater. The property transaction took place almost 2 years ago, and per Title V, they were required to replace their system within 2 years, which is the statutory limit. We've been tracking with this project since December, and despite setting benchmarks, they have not been meeting them. And so we are trying to help them reach compliance, but we need to see progress on their behalf. And so what I'm suggesting is we continue to set benchmarks for this project at each meeting with that expectation.
So when does the 2-year time frame expire?
I think I'm not sure if the property transaction occurred in May or July of 2024, but we're
Oh, we're
Very
close to, yeah.
Yes, we're very close to that. Steve, you've been following with this. What do you think? Do we have a motion or
I, yeah, you're right. Trying to follow this along, looking at the progress they're making. Yeah, I just think the key thing here is to make sure that they're hitting their milestones, the ones that they've got in front of them. And as long as that happens, I think we're good. I'm not sure what else we could do. But I think that's the key thing, is just to make sure they're hitting their milestones.
yeah, and I think my goal is to make as clear and defined for the property owner what the next milestone is and when they are expected to meet it by.
Are
Julie,
they
were you
here
asking me a
tonight?
question? I do
No,
not see them, Steve.
Okay. Yeah, I
Um,
didn't see them either. I just thought. I wasn't sure if there was if they need to be here
I
for
would
the
ask
Board
that
of Health meetings
I
going
would ask
forward.
they be here for our next meeting. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Steve, but I would ask that they be here at our next meeting.
Okay, all right, that's good. That's good.
we can if there is a motion of the board tonight that pertains to their property, either Mark or Sarah can simply email them to let them know that.
Sure. Be
Uh,
glad to.
so they don't have to be present. I'm going to proceed with this because I want to help them get to this goal, and I think this is a way to have the clearest understanding of what that looks like. I move that the soil testing for 155 Maple Street must be scheduled by our June 3rd meeting. Otherwise, the board will speak with town council about seeking a court order for a lien. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Further discussion? Hearing none.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Rose Scotch Oracle, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. Okay. Give me 1 second, Mark.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah or Mark, if one of you can email the homeowner
Sure. I can put an
and let
email
them know.
together tomorrow
So
morning.
they know that is the expectation, is that's the testing is scheduled, please. Thank you.
And I'll include the engineer, that's Paul Saunier, so I'll
Yes,
email her and include the engineer on the board's vote as well as conservation.
excellent. We have 7 minutes. Do you think we can get the beaver permit done in 7 minutes?
Yes, I believe so.
Let's do it.
Is the beaver permit available in the documents? If not, I can explain it.
Yeah, I can share it, Mark. Give me
Okay,
just 1 second here.
Thank you, Sarah. So I can give you a general overview of what happened. We couldn't get on this is at the railroad tracks south of Forest Street. And to get down to the trestle, which is about a football field or more in length, we had to get permission to go on the tracks. The tracks are managed by Coastal Railroad, but utilized by CSX. So we had the manager of Coastal Railroad get us the permission, and we went down there yesterday. Very hot day to be walking tracks, but the train actually went by, and we were able to go down. The issue that's happening is, you'll see, it's for the removal of beavers with conibear or traps. Conibear traps, or there's another trap, and you'll see my report. And so they were granted to start the work based on the urgency. The urgency is that last year in the fall, they put in what they call beaver deceivers. They're basically pipes that go under the culvert and they reach out past the culvert, and then they put fencing around those pipes, because those pipes are letting the water go from the east side of the tracks to the west side. Well, the beavers decided to dam up the fence, which, if there's a lot of beavers, they will do that, and they can do that overnight. And so I gave them permission to start the process of trapping, either through the conibear or the box cage type traps, which are allowed by the state. You'll see I circled A, and I'm asking the board to ratify what I did yesterday based on the urgency of this matter. There's a lot of floodwater on the east side, hardly anything on the west side. So it's actually destabilizing the actual tracks, which are higher than that, but still we have a variation of water pressure on each side. And it also is flooding abutting properties. So with that said, I gave permission based on the urgency and allowed them to start the work, but I'm asking the board to ratify my vote.
Excellent. This
Think-
makes sense to me. It
Yeah,
seems
I
like
think Bose has a question. Julie, I see his hand
Sure.
up.
Go ahead, Bose.
Oh no, I did I didn't have a question, but Mark, this sounds like the best thing to do. I mean, if there's water logging on one side, then that would result in issues down the road.
Yes, thank you.
So it's best that we get this done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we've tried if they're still deceiving the beaver deceiver. I think this is the only course. I think there is definitely a threat to the track, given that it is putting a lot of pressure and erosion on the embankment underneath the track. I think that is a true safety issue. It's unfortunate that the deceiver didn't work, but it sounds like this is the really the only next step. Steve, any comments?
No, I think it's, again, it looks pretty straightforward. Yeah, it looks like it needs to be done again, otherwise we're gonna run into problems down the road. So yeah, I agree.
All right.
I'd ask the board to ratify then my decision to approve this beaver permit.
And
Emergency.
the location, we're calling it the railroad tracks on South Forest Street?
It's the railroad track south of Forest Street, about
South
300, about 100 yards to maybe 400 yards down at the culvert. It's the first culvert you hit when you're going down the tracks, when you're going south on the tracks.
Yeah, right. I move to ratify the 10-day emergency beaver permit as approved by our agent for the first culvert on the railroad tracks south of Forest Street.
So moved.
A second.
Hearing no further discussion.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bill Scotch-Borokalai.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. Thank you for going out there, Mark, on
You're welcome.
such a hot day.
Oh, it was hot.
Julie,
And yeah,
just real quick for under Asian's business farm pond, I just wanted to give Mark a heads up. Jeannie Guthrie asked me to meet him at Farm Pond at 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh,
So
Jeannie doesn't want to meet me?
no, I'm not sure. She might be there too, but she asked me to.
That's fine, Steve. I've been down there with you before. That's not a
Yes.
problem.
Yes.
As long as you feel comfortable, that's all.
Very comfortable, Mark. Very.
Okay.
um,
And I can bring
think-
that up. I only think it takes a minute to.
yeah, let's just do this so we can check off
Mm.
all the agent's business. Let's
I
go
would
ahead.
ask that the board approve the farm pond permit for the bathing beach, conditional to the inspection with passing results, as well as if the water, by the way, the water in the pond passed very good. It was less than 5 colonies for E. coli, which is very low. And with the fact that they haven't tested the drinking water, that the drinking water at the fountains not be available till tested and approved. Until tested.
They usually do test that.
They do, but they tend to wait. And I think
Yeah.
they have trouble getting the water to start flowing through the buildings. Obviously, tomorrow I'll make sure there's water to flush the toilets. But when they originally test the pond, it's usually a week before this meeting. And obviously, we'll need the next test too. But I think it's just them getting the water running. And once they do, they'll test the fountain. And I did explain that to Jeannie already. And Steve, just so you know as well.
Yeah, Mark, I was there today, and water's running throughout the bathhouse and the guard shack.
Okay,
I actually
good.
turned on the water for the fountain, and it ran. I let it run for a little bit because you could tell it was a little rusty. So
Yeah. Steve, what they'll have to do if it hasn't been, I might get test results tomorrow, but if they haven't done the water test of the drinking water, they've done it many years. They just bag it. They put a bag over it and just
Okay.
keep it that way until the water's potable, proven potable.
Okay.
So I
right.
recommend approval with those conditions.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to approve the Farm Pond Bathing Beach permit for 2026 to operate between May 23rd and September 7th, conditional to a passing inspection, and 2, that the drinking water fountain not be available until it is tested with passing results.
So moved.
I will second that motion as well.
Oh,
Further
sorry,
discussion?
I can
No
second
problem. You'll get the hang of it. It's okay.
it.
Hearing no further discussion.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bosko Kalai.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. Excellent. Let the swimming season begin. All right, we are now just 1 minute late for our scheduled variance hearing. So I now open the variance hearing for 21 Golding Street East. Do we have all of the green cards?
Yes.
Yes, we've received all of the green cards. For this property, we have Eric Dickinson here representing the homeowner. And Eric, is the homeowner on tonight as well?
I don't see her or him.
Okay,
But
that's
yeah.
okay. They don't have to be. I just wanted.
Okay.
Eric, do you want to go ahead and introduce this one?
Yeah, I can do that. So this, yeah,
Do you want to control the screen, or do
Yeah,
you
I was
want?
gonna suggest that.
I can do
Having
that,
some
yeah.
technical difficulties over here. So Eric, I'm gonna pass it on to you.
Okay.
It's probably easier, Eric, for you to have the pointer.
All right. Where do I see this? I don't see the option.
Oh,
Let me see.
Yeah, you may have to share.
You
Yeah,
should be able to.
I don't see it.
Sarah, do you need me to pull it up?
No,
Mark, you're muted.
I can pull it up. I just thought he wanted to have the cursor.
Yeah. Do
Yeah,
you see at the bottom of your screen it's usually green with an upward arrow that says share?
let me see.
It's on the black toolbar at the very bottom.
I can just pull it up for now, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I don't even see you guys.
That's okay.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, you know what it is? Look at the very top at the header of your window. You will see
Okay.
there is both a meeting tab and a Board of Health screen
Yeah.
that you can toggle between, and you might have different views between those two.
Uh,
It's at the very top next to kind of well, actually, I don't. I'm on a Mac, so you might have a different view if you're on a PC.
And I'm on a Surface. On mine, it's on the bottom bar, Eric, and
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm so. Eric,
Yeah.
what kind of computer do you have right now?
it's Adele.
Okay, then
Yeah,
I should
good.
not be the one helping you. If anyone is familiar with the layout on Adele, please help Eric.
You can drive. I'm fine.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. So this is 21 Goulding Street, East. This is the first house. If you turn off South Main, when you cross the railroad tracks, it's the first house on the right. It was built in 1968. It's a four bedroom single family home. The existing septic system is in the front yard, right by the front walkway. Um, yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's that bubble type thing. That's the approximate location of the existing system. The on-site well is behind the house, about 30 feet off yeah, right there. It is on yeah, right there. It's about
you're
30 to
showing it
40.
110 feet from the
Yes,
110.9 from the soil absorption area, correct, Eric?
correct. Yeah. That radius that I show on there, that it's incorrectly labeled for the offset to that well, that's the 100-foot radius.
Yeah.
Because it's downhill, it should be, I should have depicted the 150.
Thank you for explaining that. I didn't know
Yeah.
you had a well behind this one. That's why I thought maybe.
Right, right.
Thank you.
The area to the right of the driveway, if you go scroll back, You might ask why I didn't do any testing over in that area. There's no topography there, but it's very steep and gradient. It kind of falls off into like a gully with some wetlands down there. So it was just too steep to even test or construct a system in that area. So the best option was in the front where the existing system is. Um, Mark and I, we dug 3 test pits, and we also had 2 perks. The perk rate, I think, was
The perks
the
are in the
highest.
circles, 1 and 2.
Yeah, they're there. Yeah. It's on the other side is the soil testing data.
Yep.
But yeah. There we go. Yeah, if I recall, it was fairly rocky and a lot of boulders. Groundwater, the highest we had it was in test pit 1. It was 36 inches or 3 feet below grade. So that dictated the design. And then we had the perk rate of 9 minutes per inch. Given the fact that this is right in the in the homeowner's front yard, I didn't want a mound. So I utilized the IA system, the microfast to geoflow system right there. The DEP has approved it to go 2 feet to groundwater, so it's very low profile. Plus, it provides advanced treatment, which is definitely important given the fact that we're within that 150-foot local well radius.
Eric, if you could, if you may, Eric, if you could
Yeah.
explain the FAST system and its treatment as well as what is a geoflow, just we have a new member, I
Yeah.
think that would be helpful.
Okay, yeah. So the microfast system is it's an aerobic system. So oxygen and media are within that tank right there, and there's a blower outside of the unit, and by aerating it, it helps with the digestion and the breakdown of organic matter as well as suspended solids, and also it also reduces the nitrogen.
And that's the blowers in that second part of that 2-compartment tank.
Yes, correct. And then from that system, it goes into a pump chamber where it's pumped out into, which is almost like the geoflow leach field, which is it's like a garden hose type of a system set up. It's like little thin pipes. I think they're 5/8 in diameter. And it doses. You can see there's little holes in that system. A benefit of the geoflow system is you can go around trees, you can really save the environment. I mean, you can save the landscaping, a lot of it, and that the front yard there was heavily treed. There are a few trees that have to come down, but for the most part, we're basically putting the system in an existing lawn area. There are 3 local variances that I'm requesting. One being the distance to the well at 110.9 feet. Another one being that we found groundwater within 5 feet of grade, and the third one being that I did push the system as far as I could to the property line along the street. The town requires, or your local regulations require 20 feet. The state is 10 feet. I went to 11 just to try to get it further away from that well, the on-site well radius. That is about it. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
My only question was regarding the wetlands area. And then without seeing the topography, I didn't realize there was such a steep decline. So you actually answered my question at the beginning.
Yeah, if you drive by there, you'll see it's pretty steep. It's a gully type situation there. Then I think there's on the other side of the gully are the train tracks.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And if I can, Eric, you ask for the waiver from being 5 feet to groundwater to whatever you are. I think it's 2 feet with the geoflow.
Right.
Would be built into that first waiver, but it is two separate waivers. One is I caught it just now. I apologize. I would have gone over that with you. One is that there's no place where you can find groundwater more than 5 feet deep.
Correct.
But secondly, your geoflow is being designed less than 5 feet to the groundwater, and that would be asking from our local waiver, but you are allowed per the IA technology to be within 2 feet. But it would just be an overlap of our regulation just being requested.
Okay.
And I can,
So Mark, I was actually just noting that now myself, that it is the requested waiver to section 1.8, I think is both subsections A and B.
correct.
And you're saying that the remedial use approval does not negate that, right? We need to have, we need to grant a waiver to both subsections A and B.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I was trying to put it together. That makes sense. Eric, you're still covered because you have the right section and you noted both of these
Oh.
things. It just didn't call out A and B.
Okay.
But it's still within subsection or 305-1.8. So
I agree.
Okay.
just
Thank
when
you.
we're doing both, we put in both A and B. Board members, questions about this advanced treatment system, about the location, about the setbacks to the well. I certainly appreciate, Eric, that you maintained the setbacks to all of the abutters wells, and it looks like you got as far from the on-site well as you possibly could get, given that you have the advanced treatment system. I feel that that creates an equal level of protection for the future homeowners.
Eric, I just had a question. So the new system is going over the existing system, is that correct?
Yes, they're going to have to dig out the existing. You can't construct a system and fill. So
It's a
anything they
cesspool
find,
right now? Is that what they have?
it's I believe it's stone trenches.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what'll happen, Steve, is they will have to excavate down to where there's no more deterioration of the soil, deteriorated soil from the septic system to get to the cleaner soil. Then they have to fill that up with sewer gravel, like a beach sand, to the level where the system's being placed.
Okay. All right.
Hopefully, there's not a lot of fill in there. Prior to 1995, sometimes septic systems were used as bury holes, underneath of it. So, for the sake of their wallets, I hope there's not a lot of trash in there, like stumps and things like that. But that would all be removed.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if there is to be, the homeowner should know there will be additional costs because you have to get that all out.
Right.
I'm sure you go over that with them, Eric.
I will.
Yeah.
And based on what you find, will that change how close you're going to be to groundwater or?
No, because we tested in the we had to test the naturally occurring soil, so we were around the system where we did our testing, and that's what we based it on.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and the water table would be seasonal, right? So it could drop in summer and raise in winter and all that, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So would it raise to a level that's greater than, or would the water table raise about 1 to 2 feet higher than what you found? That's 5 feet. Is that the average? Is that
No,
at the
we went off the redox features, which is the staining. It's an oxidation in the soil.
okay?
So that's the indicator of the highest groundwater. One of the test pits was 48 inches. One of them was 36 inches. And I think the other one, we didn't see any indicators of high groundwater. But the way Title V is written, you have to use the highest groundwater. So we use 3 feet. Within the system, if they encounter it would be all fill. I doubt it would be the groundwater would be higher than that 3 feet, which is directly adjacent to the existing system.
I'll add in one more question for you, Eric. I know
Yeah.
for for the microfast geoflow system, it needs to have a minimum of 6 inches of cover, and it looks like your plan calls for 12, which is our minimum. I just want to
Yes.
make sure that 12 inches, that will not affect the performance of the geoflow. Is that correct?
That's correct. It will not.
Okay, thank you. That was for my own learning.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Any further questions from board members? Seeing none. If the property owner is present and you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and speak up. And we said that we don't believe that they are here.
And Julie, I don't believe there's any abutters, but I'm not for sure.
But why don't we call, if there are any abutters to 21 Golding Street East for this variance hearing who have questions or comments, please go ahead and just speak now. You don't have to even raise your hand. Just give folks a second in case they have to unmute. I'm not seeing or hearing anyone. In that case, why don't we move forward with voting on the waivers? Do I have a motion to approve a waiver to section 305 dash 1.8A, which requires that the leaching area be a minimum of 5 feet above the maximum high groundwater, where here 2 feet is provided, which is in line with the remedial use approval from DEP.
So moved.
A second.
Hearing no further discussion.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bill Scotchborough, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. Do I have a motion to approve a waiver to section 305-1.8B, which requires that the system be in an area of 5 feet of natural soil, where none was able to be found in this
Well,
situation?
if I may, Julie, where groundwater was found within the first 5 feet of soil, so that is the
Thank
waiver.
you.
But that is the section. It is B. Yes, thank you.
Groundwater is found within 5 feet of the natural soil. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, I said that wrong.
That's okay.
Any questions on what that motion is, board members? No? All right, that is the motion. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bill Scotchborough, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. Do I have a motion to approve a waiver to section 305-1.10A subsection 2 to allow the on-site well to be located 110.9 feet uphill from the on-site well versus the required 150 feet. This is due to site constraints.
So moved.
A second.
Any discussion? Hearing none.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bill Scotchborough, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. Do I have a motion to approve a waiver to section 305-1.10 subsection B to allow the SAS to be located 11 feet from the property line versus the locally required 20 feet?
So moved.
A second.
I will have a friendly amendment to my own motion, which is this is in order to prevent any encroachment to the on-site well, further encroachment onto the on-site well buffer. Important note there. All right. No further discussion. We can go ahead and vote.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bill Scotchborough, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. I now close the hearing for 21 Golding Street East. Mark, are the plans ready for approval?
Yes, they are conditional to 2 deed recordings, one for the fact that they did not design for a garbage grinder, so they will need to prohibit the use of one and note that on a deed recording. And for the second one, they're utilizing innovative alternative technology, that being the FAST system with the GeoFlow. And with that said, they will need to also do a deed recording for the use of that technology.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the plans for 21 Golding Street East conditional to a deed recording for innovative alternative technology and 2, a deed recording for a garbage grinder prohibition?
So moved.
A second.
Discussion? Hearing none.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bose Kutchabarakal, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. Thank you so much, Eric. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time. Best of luck to the homeowners with their replacement.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, you as well.
Thanks, Eric.
Good night.
We managed to be on time. That's great. Okay. All right. Sarah, I will give you a second to get your screen settled. We are going to go to the review of the bedrock disruption permits for 57, 61, 63, and 65 Farm Road. Sarah, I'm going to ask if you, first thing we'll do is we'll pull up the regulations. I'll begin. The purpose of our discussion tonight is for the board to review the requirements for obtaining a bedrock disruption permit per local bylaw 305-3.10 and evaluate whether or not those requirements have been met for these applications. The board will invite a period of public comment, followed by time for the applicants to speak if they desire, and then the board will deliberate and vote based on whether or not the requirements of the regulation have been satisfied. Once we close the public comment period, the board will not be taking additional public comments. I ask that we first go ahead, we're going to read the regulation. And Sarah's going to pull that up on the screen. And because we want to be accessible, I believe Sarah is going to read it out loud. We will then summarize the requirements of the regulation. We will then review the applications as they were submitted. We will then go to a public comment period. And before we enter into that, I will read some ground rules. And then we will allow the applicants a moment to speak if they so desire. They are not obligated. We will close the public comment period, and then the board will deliberate. Welcome, Bob, and I think Gary's here. And Mr. Lambert, would you prefer to be called Mr. Lambert or Gary?
Please call me Gary.
Absolutely. Welcome, Bob and Gary. Sarah, in the interest of accessibility, would you be, and to so people don't have to hear my voice all night, would you be willing to read out loud this regulation?
Yes.
Please. Thank you.
Okay. So we are reading section 35, article 3-10, bedrock disruption. Bedrock disruption means any activity performed upon ledge or bedrock, including but not limited to hammering, drilling, and blasting, and any other activity that breaks up and/or removes portions of ledge or bedrock. Bedrock disruption shall not include water well drilling. The following requirements shall apply to bedrock disruption in excess of 10 cubic yards. A permit shall be required prior to any bedrock disruption activities in excess of 10 cubic yards being conducted on a property or as part of a project. A permit application form must be completed and submitted to the board. B. No permit shall be granted except after the applicant has notified all owners of any property within 0.25 miles, including properties outside the town of Sherborn, if applicable, by certified mail, return receipt requested at his or her own expense at least 10 days before the Board of Health meeting at which the permit request will be on the agenda. The notification shall notice that such owners may conduct baseline water quality sampling and analysis for select materials and nitrate. Guidance for accepted content for the notification shall be available from the Board of Health. The notification shall be received by the covered property owners at least 4 weeks prior to the commencement of bedrock disruption activity. C. If blasting is to be performed, the applicant shall provide information regarding the composition of the blasting agent to be used to the Board of Health. A safety data sheet for the blasting agent shall be acceptable if all ingredients are disclosed. Blasting agents containing percolate shall not be permitted. D. A permit shall not be issued until there is acceptable completion of the above requirements and satisfactory review of the blasting agent's composition. I believe I mispronounced it. I think it's perchlorate, not percolate. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's perchlorate.
Perchlorate. It
Yes.
So to review and summarize the requirements set forth for obtaining a bedrock disruption permit. 1, a permit is required only when a threshold of 10 cubic yards or more is disrupted or anticipated to be disrupted. Activity less than this threshold does not require a permit, and the drilling of a water supply well is exempt. 2, the applicant must obtain a list of properties within a quarter mile of their property from the town assessor, along with the property owner's names and mailing addresses. The assessor's records are the official source. 3, a notification letter from the applicant to the covered property owners must be sent informing the recipients of the intended activity. The notice letter must be sent via certified mail at least 10 days before the Board of Health meeting and received by abutters at least 4 weeks before activity commences. And if blasting is proposed, there are additional requirements and restrictions. So at this point, I want to move to a review of, we have 4 applications. Why don't we just look at the front pages? Sarah, if you could go to, let's just go in order. We'll start with 57. Thanks, Sarah's working on pulling that up. So that everyone can see the applications. All right, we have, yep. So this is
This is 57.
Yep, I just realized it's clarified here on the form, which I appreciate. So now 57 Farm Road used to be Lot 4B. This is the lot closest to Farm Road, just because folks may not be used to seeing these as numbered houses versus identified lots. So here we identify that it is 20 cubic yards to be disrupted. The method is hammering, so no blasting is proposed. The anticipated start date is the beginning of July for a duration of 1 month. And this was submitted by Bob. And Bob, just so we understand for each of these, have you done kind of exploration in this area and know that there is a ledge, or are you just kind of proactively seeking a permit in the event you encounter it?
Sure. The answer, well, I mean, as anybody that's followed along on this property knows, we've done a lot of digging test holes around, and in very few places we found ledge, but we did find it in a few. It is mostly just anticipating the possibility. What's very difficult about this regulation is that for somebody who's building a home, is that none of us really know what's underground. Sometimes we do when we dig test holes, but a lot of the time we don't. In fact, you had someone tonight with their septic system who needed to come back to you, and because they found ledge where they tested, but they not obviously found that. And so the issue becomes, and this happened to the Quadwell over on Greenwood Street a month ago. He wasn't anticipating ledge. He didn't get the permit in advance, and it ended up delaying his project by the better part of 2 months. And so I believe that it's appropriate to get the permit. And then if the permit's not necessary, that's great, because cutting or breaking ledge is not a particularly pleasant activity for anyone, including the neighbors. It's a loud thing. But delaying a project by a couple of months is a really difficult way to start building your house. And so I'm trying to avoid that for folks.
Sounds good. And for each of these applications, we will just clarify if it is known to have ledge in the area of the house, or if this is just anticipation in the event that it's found, just to clarify for property owners, or for abutters, excuse me. All right, so that is for 57. Can we go to 61, please?
Are they updating as I'm switching?
Yes, it's just very, you have to zoom out a little bit.
Sorry.
Got it. And now we can see the whole thing. Same information here, anticipated 20 cubic yards, which I'm going to guess, Bob, is the volume of a foundation for the house. Is that correct? Yeah. And then proposed method is hammering. And then the anticipated start date was noted as July, continuing through the month of July. Again, Bob, this is just anticipation. In the event it's found, it is not known to be present. Okay. And we can go to 63, please. Thank you, Sarah. Same information here. Anticipated in case the volume for the basement, 20 cubic yards. Still proposing a method of hammering. And again, the start dates suggested here are July, beginning of July, duration of the month of July. And I'm going to guess, Bob, this is just in case you find it, but you don't know it's there. Yeah, okay. And then let's go to 65, which will be Gary's property.
Just to be clear, Julie,
Yeah.
sorry, and I'm working from memory here, but I believe there was a little bit of ledge that we found on what is now 57 Farm Road, but it was up fairly close to the property line with 55 Farm Road, and we're not building in that area, but we did encounter down, I think it was 6 feet, we found some ledge. And it's all in the soil records, of course, that you all have, but
Yeah, yeah. I think clarifying for abutters whether or not you know that there is ledge present and that you're just being prepared in the event you find it. I think that helps them with information.
sure.
So for 65 Farm Road for Gary's property, same proposed method of hammering for potentially the entire foundation. And Gary, you're proposing to start work in June 1st, potentially going on for 2 months. Same question to you, Gary. Are you aware that there is ledge in the area of where you propose to put your home, or are you just anticipatorily getting this permit?
Just anticipating and trying to avoid getting started, mobilized, and having to put people out of work for a couple of months.
Yeah,
If we can hopefully avoid it, but
yeah,
you never know.
yeah. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Julie,
Yes.
sorry, I just want to note that the June 1st start date is not in compliance with the 45 days. I believe Gary had mentioned that it's actually anticipated for July 1st start date because June 1st is within 45 days, not after of a
Okay.
butter.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah,
At this point, we're going to be lucky to get July 1st, but I'm hoping. I'm
I
getting
just wanted to
applications in.
clarify that for the record.
Yeah.
But just to, again, to clarify process, not for Gary's situation or mine, it's 45 days from when the notification went out, which would be, in this case, fairly early June, I believe.
Yeah, we will get to this in the review, but I believe the notification went out. I have it
It
somewhere.
was May 4th and May 5th, Julie.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And so I don't know the exact date, but that would be 4 weeks from when it was mailed, would be June 1st or June 2nd. It sounds like, Gary, you probably are not starting right on June 1st, but maybe
That's
shortly
correct.
after.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully done by this summer, right?
Correct.
Right. Thank you for clarifying that. Let's go to, I now want to move to the public comment period. I'm going to read some probably pretty familiar ground rules for everyone. Any person present may speak during the public comment period. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand using the raise hand function in Zoom. If you have trouble raising your virtual hand, staff will watch for anyone raising their hand or their real life hand instead. So to my fellow board members and to Mark and Sarah, if you can help us look for anyone who's raising their real life hand. When it is your turn to speak, I, the chair, will acknowledge you. Please identify yourself by name, address, and any affiliation you may have that impacts your comments. In the interest of time, comments shall be kept to 2 minutes. Please do not repeat comments that have already been made. Board members will listen to public comment, but will not engage in dialogue with those who are making comments. The applicant will also not engage in dialogue with commenters. If the applicant wishes to speak, there will be a designated time to speak before the board. We ask that everyone remains considerate of those persons speaking, whether you agree or disagree with them, and do not comment out of turn. Before we begin, I want to remind all board members, members of the public, and the applicants, and whomever else may be present tonight, the purpose of this discussion is solely to confirm that the applicants for 57, 61, 63, and 65 Farm Road have satisfied the requirements delineated in the regulation to obtain a bedrock disruption permit. All right, we now open the public comment period. Please go ahead and raise your hand if you would like to make a comment. It says Brian, but I see you are Mary. Mary, go ahead. Please unmute yourself.
Thanks, Julie. Mary Moore, 49 Farm Road. I understand the constraints that you're placing on the comments for tonight's hearing, and just want to say that we are concerned about the potential for disruption on our wells, and we hope that the board will take their mandate seriously about protecting public health in this situation. We sent a letter earlier that I think a lot of the board members, hopefully the board members, were provided with. I think I expressed our concerns. There have been examples in Sherborn on Wildwood and on Green where there have been negative impacts due to ledge removal, and we are concerned and remain concerned about the impact on our wells. And I think that, the broader statement that I put in the letter was really about the requirement for an EHIR, which would provide us with some certainty about, the potential of a negative impact on the wells. And I just want to note that on the application for tonight's permit, it appears that the bedroom count that's listed on here is inconsistent with the ANRs that were referred to when the final permitting was happening on these. So I think there's some inconsistencies, and I don't know if you want to read that into the record, but I've looked at these 1,000 times. I'm sure Bob has as well. And I feel like it should be accurate if you're going to be issuing a permit. Thank you.
Brian, I know that you are the other half, but I'm
Yeah, is
going
it okay to go do the twofer right now?
Mr. Fenno was actually before.
Okay, I'll wait.
So
Thank
it
you.
depends on if I would give deference to Mr. Fenno.
That's fine. If Brian wants to go first, I don't have any particular preference, but thank you.
Yeah. He disappeared.
Okay,
Brian, Mr. Fenno has said that it's fine if you do want to continue.
okay, thank you. Yeah, so just to step off from where Mary's point was, the Board of Health actually issued a finding and a memo back in 2021 saying that there was corollary evidence in the town of Sherborn and a record of there being bad groundwater impacts directly as the result of ledge removal and work that had been done. I think it was on the heels of one, if not those other two locations that we just mentioned. And that was in public, that was a finding of the board. So I don't think that there's any question about, the concern for groundwater quality. I think the biggest question is, what is the point of this regulation if we don't intend to do anything about it? I mean, public health is paramount. Our groundwater supplies are limited. And, when we're lucky enough to have a well that we can get sufficient amount of water out of the rock, the last thing we want to do is endanger that, kind of tentative supply, or endanger it for those of our neighbors. And so between that and the fact that I don't know if there are any plans to do anything with like inclinometers or monitoring of neighboring houses for other disruptions that might be related to bedrock work. But I would encourage the Board of Health to take this opportunity to finally set in place some reasonable standards and requirements so that the burden of, these applicants' work doesn't fall on the neighbors to pick up the pieces. There's no ability for us to seek restitution if there's a problem with our wells. And we'd have to hire attorneys, and the whole point of someone coming in for permitting in the front end of this is to prevent one of these disasters from occurring again. Thank you for hearing my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Mr. Fennell. Go ahead, Mr. Fennell.
Okay, thank you. Arthur Fenno, 58 Farm Road. I live directly across from these projects. Let me my hand. I'm looking at a couple things, and I think I have a different interpretation of the bedrock disruption regulation, or than perhaps the Board of Health does, or that the chair has represented. So it says a permit shall be required, etc. If you have to do certain things, and a permit shall not be issued unless you do those certain things. But it does not say that a permit shall be issued if you do those things. It just says that if you don't do those things, you cannot get a permit, which leaves open, and I can say this as a lawyer, leaves well open the possibility that you can deny a permit for other reasons. One of the reasons would be not complying with the notice and other sorts of provisions. There are any number of other reasons. So the Board of Health has the authority as the Board of Health, and as its mission statement, to assess and address the needs of the Sherborn community in order to improve and protect the health and safety of its residents. That is the first and foremost mission of the Board of Health. So here we have a notice that says there is a potential through this bedrock disruption to jeopardize the private drinking water supplies for the abutters. I think, as everybody knows, Sherborn it's not unique, but has an unusual situation where we rely upon our wells for our basic drinking water. It's like air, water. These are things that are basic to my family, my neighbors, everybody's health and safety. We can't go anywhere else there's no public water supply. This is it. So if that is fouled, then we have no recourse. So I think, given the mission of the Board of Health, the permission within the regulation to deny these permits based on the moral and legal obligations of the Board of Health to protect the safety of the residents, it's not the Board of Developers, it is the Board of Health. And I think the Board of Health has an obligation morally and legally to deny these permits without, given the potential of fouling our wells, we have no other recourse in these
Mr. Fenno,
circumstances.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We
Sure.
have hit the 2-minute mark, but I'll leave it up to the board to decide.
I think you got
Mr. Fenno's
the gist of what I'm saying is you can deny this permit for reasons just beyond notice and that kind of thing. And I think you have a moral and legal obligation in this case, given the jeopardy to our public, given to our private water, to deny it on those grounds. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Fennell. Mr. McPherson, go ahead and speak. And please identify your address too.
Yep, Neil McPherson, 9 Great Rock Road. So I'd like to echo some of the comments. I should say, let me ask this question. So you've sent us a letter saying we should test our well before this happens. So very simply, clearly there is some concern about the impact of what is going to be done here on the abutting wells, which is one of mine, or what I am as an abutter. My well's down 500 feet and has low flow as it is today. So I'm also kind of disturbed in the sense that we are having this project go forward. We've had a lack of transparency since the beginning of these parcels being developed. We know that there is ledge on this property. So I also want to emphasize, I think I'm concerned about, is there more development after this one or additional parcels? But beyond that, what is, okay, the route for us, other than lawsuits, to prevent our wells, which we depend upon, from being contaminated by this work? Because we do know that there is rock on this site. I've walked this site. I've grew up in Sherborn, very familiar with it. So I'm very concerned about this. And as I've said before, the scope and the lack of transparency we've had relative from this developer. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McPherson. Mr. Fennell, I see that you have your hand raised, but I want to give the opportunity to any butters who have not spoken first.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Mr. McPherson, I think you just probably still have your hand up.
Julie, Miss Sally Tipton has her real hand up.
I do. Yes, yes. I've seen a real hand sometimes.
Yeah, right. I'm just concerned as what.
Can you please identify your address?
I'm sorry. I'm Sally Tipton, 22 Farm Road. I'm just concerned about this too. You know, we went through this with Wildwood, and people's wells were impacted with this problem, and the Board of Health allowed that to go through. I'm just worried that the Board of Health is not maybe protecting people who are impacted by this development.
I think you're done. Thank you, Miss Tipton.
We have another real hand.
I see Mr. Cadelia. You have a real life hand. Please identify yourself.
Vivek Kadiala, 8 Great Rock Road. Well, I can appreciate them wanting to get ahead of this to save time in the future. I just feel like if a permit is granted, we sort of relinquish our ability to monitor or address any upcoming issues. If we just say maybe there is, maybe there isn't, some possibly, it's just too many vagaries. It seems like it's more prudent to deal with these as they come and address these issues rather than saying, yeah, you're covered, let's move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cadelia. Mary, before I go to you, I just want to make sure that if there's anyone who has not spoken, they're allowed the opportunity to speak. And Sarah, I'm not seeing any other real life hands, but I don't know if I think I have all of the participants on my screen. All right, Mary, go ahead.
Just a very quick question, and I don't know if it's if the board can ask the applicant, but I was curious how many people were noticed. I know the requirement states 0.25 mile radius, I guess, but I'm just curious if you have a number of how many homes were noticed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Any other members of the public or abutters who would like to speak during our public comment period? Mr. Fennell?
Yeah, actually, I did have one more question, I guess, for the board. This is a comment. If there were a permit, if the permit were granted, which I think it shouldn't be, obviously, as you know from my comments, is it possible to require the developers or owners to post a bond, which would cover all future expenses if there is fouling of the wells?
Your question is noted. Thank you, Mr. Fennell. Are there any other abutters or members of the public who wish to speak during our public comment period? I think Mr. Fennell just has his hand up from the floor. I don't think he's looking to speak a third time.
Sorry, I'm not very adept at Zoom.
That's okay. I'm saying it out loud so you don't think that I'm ignoring you. All right, at this time, I'm not seeing any further public comment. I want to provide the applicants, if they so choose, you are under no obligation. If you would like to make a comment, we still ask you to try to keep your comments within 2 minutes. I'm going to first go to Gary. If you would elect to speak, please go ahead and do so now.
No, I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob, would you like to make any comments?
I also have nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. All right. In that case, I'm going to close the public comment period. Thank you to everyone who spoke. And thank you for the respectful tone that was used tonight. I appreciate that. Board members, it is now our time to deliberate on this. I think in the course of our deliberation, we might be able to address a few of the points that were brought up. So for the, because these are all abutting properties, they had the same radius ultimately. So there were 76 properties identified within a quarter-mile radius. 67 were owners, unique property owners that beyond the town of Sherborn, the Rural Land Foundation, and Phoenix Partners or Bob's personal property. So 76 properties in total, 67 owners. I'm going to make sure I try to go through and address a few of these. The couple of things that I will note here is that the board may not enforce any restrictions or requirements unless we are authorized to do so by our regulations. And so in hearing some of the questions or the requests, I would remind the public that our authority extends to the regulations and not beyond, through the regulations and not beyond that. And in addition to some of the initial comments made, I will note that none of the business before the board tonight materially changes the decision made by the board on January 21st of this year, which determined the project, defined the project, as well as the requirement for an EHIR. To review, those were houses 65, I'm going to have to reorient now, 65, 63, and 61 were determined to be the project and were consisting of 1,980 gallons a day of flow, and any additional design flow to the project would require an EHIR, and that was determined on January 21st. Board members, let us review. So we have a list from the assessor, a certified list from the assessor that was obtained on April 6th of this year. A notification letter was provided to the board, but right before it was sent. Notification letters for these properties were mailed on May 4th and May 5th. The requirement is that the notification letters be sent at least 10 days before this meeting, which is the case, and that work may not commence at least 4 weeks or cannot commence any earlier than 4 weeks from the time that the notification letter is sent, in which case the earliest that work could commence would be June 1st or June 2nd. We will be conservative and say June 2nd for each of these projects. We have, and I will confirm with our Sarah, our administrator, that we have received the green cards or the confirmation of receipt for all of the properties except for there were, I believe, 6 properties where there were 3 delivery attempts, at which time the USPS does have the letter returned, and we have those identified. So there, and that is our standard process in the case of a variance hearing. So the notification has been provided to all of the unique property owners. Board members, any further
Julie,
questions? Yes.
sorry, before you continue, I don't know if I missed this. Did you mention the disclaimer about the chat function?
I completely missed that. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm not in a good habit of that. I should have noted this before the public comment period. My apologies, folks. We do not monitor the chat. Board members are not reading that, nor does the chat get captured in the meeting minutes. And so if there is anything in the chat It needed to have been said in the public comment period. However, the chat is open for participants to be able to communicate amongst themselves. But it is not captured in our meeting minutes, please. Thank you, Sarah. I'm gonna get that one of these days.
One day.
Someday. Steve and Bose, do you have any questions or clarifications on the information that has been provided?
Got some couple questions on clarification, just trying to understand the process for this. So, as was brought up, these are the permits aren't necessarily for work to be done. They might not need to do anything with ledge if they don't find ledge. So to follow the process for this, somewhere between June 1st and the end of July, those 2 months, I'm assuming that heavy equipment will come in and start to dig for the foundations. Is that correct? And then
Well, yeah, do you want to answer that question before you have your second question? How do you want to proceed, Steve?
yeah, no, maybe I'm just again, I'm just thinking out loud here. So the foundations would be, you would start to dig the foundations during that 2 month period. And then during that digging of the foundations, if ledge is found, then one of these permits could get activated, or they'll already be active. So one of these permits would already kick in, I guess I could say, and then they would use, if needed, up to 20, 20 yards of ledge that could be removed. And then then they can continue with the project. So again, just trying to understand kind of from a process standpoint, that there's a chance these might not be used at all. Is that correct? And there's a chance that I would think, looking at the other end, that it might be more than 20 cubic yards of ledge if they end up hitting a lot of ledge. So what would be the process then? Would everything just stop if something was looked at and they said, we're going to be hitting more than 20 yards of ledge? Or what would happen at that point? That's what I don't understand.
And those I think are important clarifications. So per my reading of the regulation, if at any point ledge was encountered and they were going to, instead of hammer, elect to blast, they have to come back to us with a list of the blasting agents and a safety data report. They've indicated for all of these properties that the intention would be to hammer, not to blast. But certainly if the method were to change to blasting, work would have to stop and they would have to come back with that information.
Okay.
In terms of once a permit is granted, it is active. There is no further, after it is granted, there's no further, hit start here kind of button for a permit. It's active. Relative to the date range, we should note that there is no expiration written into this regulation.
So it's not as if you've got a hard date of the end of July. If nothing is found by then, work can continue. Is that correct?
The regulation does not explicitly state that there is an expiration for this permit.
Okay.
There are, within, say, Title V, a disposal works permit has an expiration of 2 years if it is not initiated. That is not written into this regulation. The application is trying to give as much information as possible to abutters so they know when work is likely to start and how long it's going to go on, because as Bob noted, it's loud.
Right.
And so we're trying to, but there is nothing written into the regulation that says that the dates or duration identified in the application is binding.
Got it. So that 2 month period pretty much tells you this is when there could possibly be a start date for removing the ledge.
Yeah. And yep, exactly. And in terms of the volume, again, they could hit 1 cubic yard of ledge. They wouldn't need a permit to remove that. But if they were to go in excess of the 20, the same thing. It is not a upper limit identified in the regulation. It is a minimum threshold for which a permit is required, and that is 10 cubic yards.
Right.
Which for folks trying to imagine what that is, that's a dump truck, a full dump truck.
And if they realize that they're going to hit that limit or exceed that limit, then they would have to come back to the board, or if there's a need for blasting. In other words, if they can't just drill it out.
There is no upper limit. There is a minimum threshold. So the minimum threshold is if you are going to remove 10 cubic yards or greater, no upper limit to that greater identified in the regulation, that they require a permit.
So what's the 20 yards reference?
That is an attempt to help folks understand the kind of amount of work that is to be done. In this case, that is the rough volume of a foundation for a house.
Got it.
Again, that would be if the entire foundation was sitting in ledge. And as we noted, it's erratic.
Okay.
These are good questions, Steve. Did I?
Okay. No,
Did I articulate those questions? Yeah. I don't think that this regulation is written perfectly, but that is not what we're adjudicating tonight. We have to enact the regulation as it is written today.
Right.
Okay,
thank you.
Yeah. Bose, do you have any questions or clarifications that you want to ask either of the applicants, or I will do my best?
I had a few thoughts. So the expectation of risk stems from what's happened in the recent past, right? So an anticipatory approval without, evidence that there is ledge, or strong evidence, or at least that's not how it was stated when the applications were made, wouldn't it be premature to approve? Or I'm just concerned that um, that there is risk, and it's about 67 houses within the 0.25 square miles. I think Sherborn altogether has about 1,000 houses, 1,200. I'm not entirely sure, but this is close to about 6-7% of Sherborn that may be at risk. So those are my concerns, and I'm wondering, from all the clarifications that Steve was asking for, it may not end at 20 cubic yards. It may continue, and could that increase the risk to abutters and everybody else? So these are some of my thoughts, and I'm trying to figure out how to navigate these concerns, actually.
Just to clarify one of your initial points, because I don't want to read into what you're saying. Are you suggesting that until the need for a permit is demonstrated, that it does not need to be issued?
Yeah, I think unless there is a need, we wouldn't need to approve something in anticipation of a need that actually has a risk associated with it. But if it's, if you look at it on the flip side, if the approval mitigates a risk, then it's fine to approve. But this is an approval that actually may create a risk. So unless there is really a need for this approval, I don't know if we should be approving that. See what I mean? These are two sides of the coin. If the approval mitigates a risk, we should approve it. It's good for everybody. But if the approval has, could cause a risk, then we should think about it twice. Right.
I understand your point. I think my two thoughts are, it is impossible to reduce risk to zero because that is the universe that we live in.
Sure.
So when the board created this regulation, which was far before my time, it was a need to at least provide some type of information to abutters of which they can do with it as they choose, right? So abutters can choose to do baseline testing, they can opt not to, they can do whatever they want. But the only role that the board was able to kind of commit to in this process, in the absence of sound and clear causal evidence, is that providing information and notification letter being required. A permit was one of the few tools in our toolbox in order to do that, right? There was no way to say, hey, stop, go notify abutters what you're planning to do and just do that on good faith. It required some type of regulatory action. A permit was the way to do that. At least that was the board determined at the time. And in terms of the question that you ask about until there is established need for a permit to be exercised, why would it be issued? And I think my response would be that is not one of the limitations or restrictions set forth in the regulation. And so I hesitate to say that that is within the power or authority of this board to exercise, recognizing that our authority stems directly from our regulations and how they're written. There are many regulations that we have locally and that we have in the state that allows discernment by the board to apply professional judgment on a site-by-site or case-by-case basis. Right? Oftentimes we're given a pretty broad bandwidth to make a determination. None of that language is found in this regulation. Which is why it is my position that this is not the place to exercise that because it is not written into this regulation. There are many other regulations where we have that power.
Okay.
If board members do not have any further comments, I am going to continue to move us along in the interest of time. Here is how I would propose to divide this. My suggestion to the board, and I certainly would welcome alternative ideas, is that we approve these based on property ownership. So in that case, we would wrap up 57, 61, and 63 into one motion, given that those three properties are all owned by, it's Phoenix Partners, right, Bob? By Phoenix Partners by Bob. And then we would have a separate motion for 65 Farm Road, which is currently owned by Gary Lambert. Board members, do you have any thoughts, or do you think that we need to have separate motions for each application?
I think what you proposed is a reasonable approach.
Bose, are you okay with that, or would you prefer that we have 4 different motions for one for each application?
Oh, I think that's all right. Yeah, that's reasonable.
All right, so I'm going to put it out there and recognize there may be further discussion. And we are a, a bare minimum board this evening, as folks can see. I am going to move to approve the bedrock disruption permit for 57, 61, and 63 Farm Road provided that the requirements of the regulation have been satisfied. Do I
So
have,
moved.
Bose, would you like to second that motion? I think I can second the motion. I'm going to second the motion. And now we can have deliberation, if we want to have deliberation on that explicit motion. And then we will call for a vote. I don't envy you, Bose. This is not an easy way to start your time on the board.
No, I know.
I know
No,
this is my
because
second meeting and it was not easy. But I have a motion and a second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further deliberation on that motion? Hearing none, I'm going to call for a vote. Steve?
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bose? You have three options, aye, nay, or abstain.
I want to abstain at this point.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. Oh, Sarah, you're gonna have to help me. This is a 2-0 to 1. The abstentions go last, right?
I usually put abstentions in the middle, but
In the middle? Okay,
they could go last. It doesn't really matter.
okay. Motion passes. Do I have a motion to approve the bedrock disruption permit for 65 Farm Road, given that, provided that the requirements set forth in the regulation have been satisfied?
So moved.
I will second the motion. Discussion. Hearing no further discussion, I call for the vote. Steve?
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bose?
Abstain.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. Motion passes. Well, I guess we don't know if it's 2 to 1 to 0 or 2 to 0 to 1. I'll get it figured out next time. Bob and Gary, thank you. If you want to provide the board any further updates onto if you do find ledge or do not as you are excavating, we would certainly welcome that information, but it is not required.
Julie, could I just have 30 seconds? Would that be all right? I didn't speak earlier, and I'd love to have 30 seconds if that's okay.
Let me go to my board members to see. Board members, do you think it's appropriate for the applicant to speak, or do you think that was bounded in the public comment period?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we should get all information possible.
Sure.
All
Yeah,
right,
Bose, thank you for joining the board. Yeah, the one thing tonight that you didn't have the benefit of was that there was a exact same discussion of this about 6 weeks ago on a property on Greenwood Street. And at the time, I raised a question. I asked a question, could the board provide me, or all of us really, with any scientific studies or any real scientific information about why the board thinks this is a risk? And I hear all the abutters and I hear you folks having concern, and I respect it. But I've asked this board now on multiple occasions to provide science to back up even this notice provision. And so I guess I would say my request stands. I would love to see some science. I heard a couple of addresses mentioned tonight. I haven't seen any data, which tells me that there's a problem. If there is a problem on those two addresses, the board should gather that data and it should provide that to the public and to developers and everybody else. The last thing I would say is that it's really important, I think, in this whole process that we follow the rule of law. And one of things about the rule of law is you might not like the regulation as it written, but you need to follow it. And I think that's what we all need to do. And I think there's a lot of that not going on in our broader world. And I would ask that we in Sherborn follow the law. I think that would be really, really important. So thank you. Nice to meet you, Buzz.
No, it's a pleasure, and thanks for that clarification.
Sure.
And yes,
The only other thing I will say is that all of us here, well, Gary's excluded from this because he doesn't live in Sherborn, but all the rest of us live here in Sherborn. And all of us had either had houses built for our predecessors in those homes, or we built, in my case, I built it myself. I didn't have to break any ledge, and that was great because it's not a fun thing to do, and it makes a mess. But I would say that chances are a third of the people on this call, ledge was broken to build their homes. And as far as I know, everybody's okay. I'm not saying that's science, but it is. We can't just build our houses and then pull up a drawbridge. We need to follow the science if we're going to change the rules, because that's important. So anyway, thank you.
That's one thing. The other thing is that there are lots of novel construction techniques,
Sure.
that can be adopted in situations like this. I mean, people build houses and stuff right on the ocean sometimes if they want to. So there are many ways to, if there is a risk, and if there was a risk at some point, right, and we probably didn't have testing facilities or the knowledge that we had, 100 years ago is not what we have today.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the databases are overflowing with data, right? And
Let's look at the data.
AI is now going to come and punch us in the face and say, "Come on, how did you do this 100 years ago?" Or this is what happened.
No, I totally agree. Just because we did it 100 years ago doesn't mean it's safe today.
That's
All I'm
right.
saying is we've got lots of data in our world and in our community, and I'm asking that the board collect it and that the board present, the board doesn't need to do science studies, but it needs to find good science and report that out to the community, because a lot of people in the community are made afraid by these notices. And that, I think that's a disservice to the community. If there really is science or even local experience, let's get the information and the data out to all of us so that we can, change our rules if we need to. But that just hasn't been done in this case. And the last thing I'll leave you with is that there's not another single town in the Commonwealth that regulates. There are plenty that regulate blasting, and that's, in my opinion, not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But not a single other community in the Commonwealth or the Commonwealth itself regulates the breaking of ledge. And I would ask, why is it that we somehow know better than the rest of the Commonwealth about the dangers or lack thereof of breaking ledge? And so anyway, I want to hear the science. And
right.
Boz and Bob, I appreciate the discussion. I would like to note that the regulatory review, which is certainly something that is pending for a number of regulations we have, this would be that discussion for this regulation. Tonight, we were reviewing a permit.
Fair enough. Thank you for letting me speak.
Bob, I was just going to give you your time that you didn't take before, but I do not want to get into the back and forth. We have other business tonight.
No, I'm all set. Thank you so much. I appreciate you
sorry,
allowing me to check in with Bose, because he's new to all of this. So
there's a lot to learn as we go through it. All right. We have completed our scheduled reviews and our variance hearing. We have completed all of our agents' business. Sarah, do you want to go to your administrative updates, particularly CNL Frosty?
Sure, just give me 1 second. Sorry,
Sure.
I did move recently.
Do you want me to take another item? I can go to food permits if you would prefer.
Yeah, that'd be really helpful. Thank you. I'm trying to find my laptop charger.
Okay, no problem. So Board members, we have under other business, we have a number of temporary food permits of which I do not think that I have the current list. And so please allow me to pull that up so I am actually giving us a current list. Why don't we start with our annual food permit because we own one of those, which is number 2 under other business. So we have an annual food permit for Eastlay Farm Ice Cream, which is a mobile food establishment. Sarah, has Tom done his review, and have we received confirmation from police about the Corey and Sori checks?
Tom has not completed his review because this particular applicant required a specific ice cream truck permit for the town of Sherborn. There are some interesting regulations when it comes to permitting ice cream trucks. And so we had to conduct our own checks, and those just went through today. So now we are able to move on to the next step. And in this case, the next step would be the inspection. So I would recommend approving the permit conditional to a passing inspection.
Okay. Stephen Bose, do you have any questions about this annual ice cream food truck mobile establishment permit?
No, I don't.
Neither do I.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the annual 2026 food permit for Eastlay Farm Ice Cream, conditional to a passing inspection by our inspector?
I second.
We're gonna have a motion in a second.
Oh, okay.
So moved.
Yeah, that's it.
And Bose, you're seconding?
Yeah.
All right. Hearing no further discussion.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bosko Chibarakalai.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. All right. That is our one and only annual food permit. I'm now pulling up a list to make sure I am.
Julie, I have the updated list on the screen here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I also have what's posted on the website. I think I just did not reprint out after it was updated. And so my printout is not accurate. All right. So we have a number of events here. We have one ratification. Why don't we take the ratification separately because the rest are for future events. The ratification is for Snappy Dogs, which performed this past Sunday at the Jazz Night at the Sherborn Library. Do I have a motion to ratify the temporary food permit for Snappy Dogs, which operated on May 17th of this year?
So moved.
I second.
Hearing no further discussion.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bosko Chibarakalai.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. The next events, I'm trying to look at it. I think the next is for Silverwood Farm. I'm going to try to go in chronological order here, Sarah.
Yep.
And if you can help me because I'm working from 2 lists.
Of course. Let me just pull up the calendar, and I can tell you what is next.
It looks like the one at Silverwood for, is it Pinchy Foods? Pinchy?
Yep. So that one would be for Pincy Foods and the Big Little Pies.
Big Little Pies are also happening on. Okay.
Yep. That's for Pharmapalooza.
Yeah. Did Tom have any concerns with this, or are they pending inspection, or?
They're both pending inspection, yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the temporary food permit for Pharmapalooza on June 7th at Silverwood Farm for Pincy Foods and Big Little Pies, conditional to a passing inspection?
So moved.
A second.
Hearing no further discussion.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bosko Chibarakalai.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. Next, we move on to, I think it's
Dudley Fest.
Dudley Fest. All right. All right, so for Dudley Fest, let's make sure we have them all identified.
Would it be easier if I read them off
Go
to
for
you?
it, please.
We have Robin's Spicy Spice Mix, Bomu Ice Cream, Belmont Vegetarian, Nirvana Tea House and Coffee, Clark's Cakes and Cookies, and Jennifer Lee's Bakery.
Maybe we don't have, oh, we do have, is it veggie meats as well? Yes.
Yes,
Yep. And what was the last one that you said?
Jennifer Lee's Bakery.
Jennifer Lee's Bakery.
Is that on the agenda? Should be.
I don't see it.
It's such a lengthy list here.
Yeah.
It scrolls from the other page. Is there more on the other page?
No, it might have gotten left off by accident. But all of them were submitted as of last week.
Okay.
So I'm
So
thinking it.
if Jennifer Lee's Bakery was left off, this is what I want to do. We've already had the period of time where we amend the agenda.
Mhm.
This date is the 13th of June. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so I know it's going to be a little hard to track, but I would suggest that this be put on our June 3rd agenda so that it is accurately posted per open meeting law.
Yeah, sounds good.
They'll still have no problem. So for Pharmapalooza, we have Robin's Spicy Spice Mix. We have no, we're doing
Dudley Fest.
Dudley Fest. We've already done Pharmapalooza. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so for Dudley Fest at Unity Farm, we have Robin's Spicy Spice Mix. We have Fumu Ice Cream. We have Belmont Vegetarian, Nirvana Tea House, Clark's Cakes and Cookies, and Veggie Meats. Did I get them all? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And all of these are conditional to a passing inspection?
Yes.
All right. And any other concerns from Tom Curran, our food inspector?
No.
No. All right. Do I have a motion to approve? Guys, keep me honest here, please. Robbins, a temporary food permit for Unity Farms Dudley Fest on June 13th of this year for Robbins Spicy Spice Mix, for Hulu Ice Cream, for Belmont Vegetarian, Nirvana Tea House, Clark's Cakes and Cookies, and Veggie Meats.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no further discussion.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bosco Chiporacal, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. Sorry, guys, I'm flipping between sides here. Okay. Last we have no, next, not last. Next, we have an event also on the 13th at Silverwood Farms for trolley dogs. Yes. It is 1, 2, 3, 4 down from the top of the page there. Do we have any other temporary permits for the 13th at Silverwood Farm? I'm not seeing others. Am I correct on that? No. Yes. Yep. Okay. I'm going to just do these by events. Do I have a motion to approve the temporary food permit for trolley dogs to operate at Silverwood Farms on June 13th?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no further discussion.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bosco Chiporacal, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Julie, if I may interject, are these all pending Tom's final inspection? All
Yes.
these looks.
Did I forget to say that in my pending an inspection?
As long as it's
Passing
clear.
inspection.
Yeah.
If I forgot to say that, I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep track of two different lists. Friend Mark, did you hear me not say that? Because if so, I will rescind that
No,
motion.
I heard you say that, so that way the minutes can reflect that all these approvals are pending Tom's final inspection.
Final inspection, okay. I think I've been saying it was conditional to a passing inspection.
Yeah, and the word passing is even more important, passing inspection.
Yeah. All right, let's see. I'm gonna have opportunity to get it right again. Looks like the next date, Sarah, is the library concert series on July 15th. Am I correct? Yes. It looks like it. Do I have a motion to approve the temporary food establishment permit for Traveling Pizza for the library concert series on July 15th, conditional to a passing inspection?
Julie, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, now I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. My headphones got, I guess, messed up. The next event is actually the Hut Island Vibes for the library concert series on the 24th of June.
Okay, why don't we I made a motion for Traveling Pizza. We're just
Sorry.
gonna we'll go a little bit out of chronological order, but thank you for catching that.
Yeah, my computer's messed up.
So I've called for a motion. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no further discussion. Go ahead, Steve.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bill Skochborokalai.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. We don't usually have a list this long, Bose. I promise. It's just that it's summertime and we have a lot of food trucks coming to town.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Next, we have an event for the library concert series on June 24th. It's for Hut Island Vibes. That's the only one, Sarah, for that event.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to write as I also talk. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the temporary food permit for Hut Island Vibes for the library concert series on June 24th, conditional to a passing inspection?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no further discussion.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Bill Skochborokalai.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. On my list, I have everything checked.
Yep, you do.
Okay, so make sure we bring back Jennifer Lee's Bakery.
Yep.
At the next. Okay.
Yep, I already have that written down. Sorry for my oversight there.
That's okay. There's time to catch it. All right, that is all of our food permits. Let's go to Sarah. You ready for your administrator updates? Do you have can we start with CNL Frosties?
Yep, that one's really quick. I was not able to speak directly with the owners, but our building commissioner, Chris Canny, was able to stop in earlier this week, and they are up to rough electrical. So they have sheetrocked, and they are well on their way to be done and ready for May 31st, the original deadline set by the board. And so they will not be seeking a variance at this time.
Okay.
Excuse me.
That's wonderful news. I am impressed at the speed of which they have been able to work through both the permitting and then the actual installation. That's fantastic. Board members, any questions on that? No. And that Bose is for an ADA accessible bathroom in CNL Frosties, which if you've been there anytime in the last few weeks, you would have probably seen that under construction. Excellent. So do you want to go to the fee waiver policy? Do you want to pull that up?
Yep, that's the last thing on our agenda today, I think, except for minutes and next week. Or next meeting, sorry. It's been a long day.
When's the next meeting?
June 3rd.
June 3rd. So we meet routinely the first and third Wednesdays of every month.
Okay.
We try every so often, there'll be a little movement in that because we try to avoid major holidays for all religions and all federal holidays, obviously. And we also honor the school schedule. And so you'll see in February and in April, we only have one meeting. And come July and August, we try to only have one meeting. Every so often, we have to have a review within a 45-day approval period. And so we might have to call for an extra meeting in the summer, but we try really hard not to do that.
So do we have a schedule set up so that I can put it on my calendar?
It should be posted
Send that
on
to you as
the-
well.
Okay,
Yeah, Sarah can send it to you, but it's also, if you go to the town webpage and you toggle to the
right.
health website, it should have the meeting dates posted there.
I can also just send it to you as well.
Yeah, put it on
Okay.
your calendar.
The nice thing is there's only one meeting a month, July and June, no, August, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Me just sorry for I'm not usually this frazzled either during meetings. I just moved and so I no longer have two screens and so I'm doing everything on my laptop. And I also got home about 15 minutes before the meeting started. So I'm just a little bit frazzled, but I'm all set up now. And I will get right into it. So today we're going to be looking at the first draft of the proposed guidance policy, whatever you would like to refer to it as, for fee waivers in the town of Sherborn. So I will just walk through this document, and if you have any questions, feel free to just go ahead and ask. So we start off with the purpose of this document and sort of the guiding points for our discussion that I'm proposing for the board is that we do not have a clear written policy for the decision-making process for our team to follow when fee waivers are requested. And we have no set criteria or general precedence has been sort of wishy-washy, for lack of a better term, to grant fee waivers or fee reductions. And we have, prior to this document being written, there was no formal guidance from the town administration on specifically handling interdepartmental fees for permits. So if another town department wants to pull specifically a food permit, we have not really received clear guidance. And there's been, again, conflicting precedents. The legality of it all and the authority is that it is the authority of the Board of Health to implement any and all policies that pertain to the regulatory authority. They have the authority to delegate the drafting of policies to the staff, and it is the responsibility of both the board members and staff to ensure that the policy is implemented. I began by researching for the members of our shared services arrangement, the Charles River Public Health District. Yes, Bose.
Is this something that really needs to be discussed? Is it something that is important?
Yes.
Why?
Because
Sorry for my ignorance. I mean, the numbers I'm seeing here is $50. I mean,
so every year we do about anywhere from, I want to say this year so far, we've done about $4,000 of food permit transactions.
yeah.
And recently we've updated our fee schedule. And our so the way our fees are calculated, Bose, I realize now that you don't know all this background, our fees are calculated by taking all of our expenses specifically related to environmental health inspection work and our processes to process all of our permit applications. It's calculated to an hourly rate, and then the time it takes to process each permit is then applied to that hourly rate, which is how all of our fees get set. This was all done several months ago by the team. And
No, so that's fantastic. So now,
yeah.
why are we discussing fee waivers?
When we have an interdepartmental request for a fee waiver, which means generally one example is the Council on Aging will often hire an ice cream truck to come to town hall or go to one of their events. And historically, they've requested a fee waiver. Now, for capital projects in town, for example, the recent library renovations, those fees have been waived because that's capital that's being essentially moved around the town. However, when it comes to food establishment permits, that money that's getting transferred from one department to another is not interdepartmental money. It's actually based on the fact that some of these organizations are making a profit off of coming into town, and we in turn are losing money in a sense when we have to go out and inspect and process all of these permits. And so when that happens, we needed to have a set guidance for how we plan on addressing this in the future. And so Dover, Medfield, and Needham all have a standing procedure for this, and we are the only town that does not. Some of them don't have it written down per se in this sense, but they do have a standard operation that they follow for all of their permit fee waiver requests. Additionally, in the food code, Massachusetts State Food Code, it is prohibited to charge a nonprofit organization for a food permit fee. But there are, again, very specific rules and guidelines for what that means. And there are also exemptions to that rule. And that is sort of what this document really goes over is what those are, what that looks like for the town of Sherborn, and how we would go about implementing it. All of this is just really background information that just sort of guides the policy. And if it pleases the board, I'm happy to skip over all of this and just get to the nitty gritty of it. It is 9 o'clock.
It's kind of again, for pretty much everything that you're going to do in the next couple of months, Bose, you're going to be coming in the middle or at the end. There's probably only a few things you'll be at the start of. And for this, you're in the middle in that we frequently will get fee waiver requests, and we're trying to be consistent in how we honor those requests. And so without a set policy, we've had issues determining whether or not a waiver should be granted to, these are pretty much always temporary food establishment that are asking for waiver requests. So this is
No, so my question comes from the fact that these sums are not humongous. These are small sums. And
Sorry.
And I'm wondering if, I mean, there may be, we could deliberate and then there would be people who argue about whatever we establish, and then we have to fight with them and say, no, sorry, that's what the rule is, or the law is and stuff, or that's the procedure. And things can get complicated. If we just say, um, if you're a nonprofit, all right, or we designate a few organizations within town where we give a fee waiver, and that's it.
So what you're unfortunately, I don't disagree. I would love it if we could do that, and that is essentially what this is. And that is essentially what this does. However, there is the caveat that when the COA requests a permit fee waiver for an ice cream truck, we are not permitting the COA to have an ice cream truck. We are permitting the company that is the ice cream truck. And that kind of gets into the nitty gritty of what encompasses a food permit, liability, and insurance, and the requirements set by the state food code and the federal food code of what's required of a permit holder, which does include paying. However, there's been not arguments, but there have been back and forth within the town hall of, do they pay for this? And while it may not seem like a lot of money for the operating budgets of the town departments, like the Board of Health or like the COA, is spending a couple $100s on several food permits throughout the year for whatever reason, it can add up. A lot of the time, our operating budgets outside of our salaries are a couple $1,000s, and so it does add up.
So I know it's late. I shouldn't be holding this up. I'm sorry, but
No,
maybe
completely
we
fine.
should.
I hope it makes sense. And I mean, you're coming into this sort of in the middle, and so your questions are completely understandable.
And this won't be voted on tonight. I think, we didn't really have a full first read through. This is really kind of more of it's the second time on the agenda, but we're kind of our first full read through. We'll probably have a second or third read through and discussion before we finalize this and vote. And I think it'd be best to do ideally, anytime we're having a policy or guidance document, I like to do it with ideally the full board.
Right.
So I think so. This is just, I think Sarah's going to lay out kind of what's here for us to chew on if we have any initial comments, and then we'll bring this back either at the June 3rd meeting, as long as there's time in the schedule, or the soonest meeting that we would have time in the schedule to continue to talk about it.
So back to the findings. I talked with the inspectors and the directors from the other three towns and discovered that in Dover, for other departments and nonprofit organizations that are associated with the town, so for example, the COA and the Friends of the Dover COA, they waive the fee, and it is a typical waiver. They do not have a formal policy. In Medfield, they do have a standard policy where for anything that is considered a non-time temperature control for safety foods, so both for just like that's pretty much anything that doesn't need to be kept cold, it doesn't need to be kept hot, and it can kind of just be as it is and stay safe to eat. They waive those fees for charity events when requested specifically by the event organizer. Not-for-profit venues that hold multiple events throughout the year with temporary food establishments per year are charged at a rate of 4 events for 1 permit fee. And I'm reading this now, and it should say 4 establishments for 1 permit fee, not 4 events. And so if they have 8 establishments, they pay for 2 fees. And up here again, it says for those 1-day events, it's $50. And so that ends up being approximately $12.50 per establishment. And in Needham, this is actually in their fee schedule that nonprofit organizations may, upon request and when approved by the Director of Health and Human Services, receive a discount of up to 50% on the fees, and they have a lengthy application that you have to fill out. This is just a list of definitions that are used throughout the policy. And just the ones that I want to highlight specifically are hosts. Hosts are Sherborn-based organizations who contract a temporary food establishment for service at their venue or events. Town departments are not considered hosts. So a host would be either the Friends of the Sherborn Library or Dover Sherborn Youth Baseball. Those are 2 examples of hosts. Town departments are organizations. On the other hand, town departments are organizations that are funded exclusively by the town of Sherborn. So that would be the Sherborn Public Library or the Council on Aging. Those are 2 important distinctions, which do come up throughout the policy. So all organizations who would like to or who are seeking a permit fee waiver must complete the formal request to waive a fee for a food establishment permit form, which is at the end of this, which we can go over at the end of this. So we've identified 3 sort of situations. The first being a food establishment applying directly for a fee waiver. An example of this is the Dover Sherborn Youth Baseball Association. They operate a snack shack, which because they are distributing food, they have to have a food permit. That is because they have ice cream. They have prepackaged ice cream. And so they are required to have a permit. However, they are a nonprofit organization, and any funds that they receive from the transactions at the snack shack go back into the organization. And so that falls under C here. And so they are granted a fee waiver under this provision where the other options are A, the service or product will be without charge or will only be at a charge sufficient to cover the cost of handling the food, and they will not generate a profit additionally to that. Or again, any profit that is generated goes directly into the operations of the organization. And part of the requirements for the application is that they have to prove that that is the case. And by doing so, they have to provide us with at least one of the following. It is preferred that they give us as much proof as possible that they are, in fact, a nonprofit organization. And that could be either their attorney general office number, employer identification number, a tax form, either the 990 or 990N, or a determination letter from the IRS. And if a food establishment cannot provide one of each from the above listed criteria, they cannot be granted a fee waiver. So they have to show us that they are not making any money, essentially. That is the bare bones of that situation, is they cannot be profiting whatsoever. For hosts applying for a fee waiver on behalf of a temporary food establishment, an example of this would be the Friends of the Sherborn Library hosting the craft fair every year. They apply for a fee waiver or a fee reduction. And so we found that this is a good sort of catch-all for situations like that when a host is offering to pay the food permit fee. We must receive the fee waiver application no less than 5 business days before we receive the permit application from the temporary food establishment. That does not mean before it goes before the board. We need to determine if they qualify for a fee waiver for a fee waiver before we review their application, because we cannot review an application without a paid fee because that is considered an incomplete application. Hosts shall only apply for a fee waiver if they are intending on covering all permitting fees for the temporary food establishment, and they must attach a brief letter explaining that the establishment will either be donating all profits to the host. Now, this situation is only applicable if the host is a nonprofit organization and they can provide the appropriate documentation to support that. Again, that would be the AGO number, EIN number, 990, 990N, or a determination letter. They will be selling all food at cost and not generating profit, or alternatively, they are accepting payment from the host in exchange for their services and will not be generating additional profit, meaning the host has paid them a flat fee and then they are giving away the food, assuming the flat fee covers their costs. If none of the above conditions are met, the host must explain why they believe that they are employing for service is still eligible for a fee waiver. And it does say, please see additional applicable conditions, relative conditions that qualify for a fee waiver. However, I could not determine any more conditions that were not covered originally. So that's kind of moot. And then this is sort of the big one. It is town departments applying for a fee waiver on behalf of a temporary food establishment. We have given them a little bit more grace where we only require 3 business days until we get the temporary food establishment permit application, generally because we do know that they're coming in advance. However, we still want to have sort of that set limit of 3 business days before we receive their permit so that we have the opportunity to review it. And they have the same requirements as the hosts do in terms of attaching a brief letter explaining that the temporary food establishment will be selling food at cost and not generating a profit, or accepting payment from the department in exchange for services and will not be generating additional profit, or donating goods and services for no charge and no expectation of payment. If one of the above conditions are met, a fee waiver will be granted. If none of the above conditions are met, all temporary food establishments that are contracted with the town department are eligible for a reduced fee. Should the town department not qualify for the fee waiver, the reduced fee shall reflect the cost of service for the inspection only, and the reduced fee shall be no more than 50% of the original fee. And that's because the administrative portions of processing a food establishment permit are done by me, and I am a salaried person, so my time, not to say my time is not valuable, it is not reflected in the overall cost of service the way the inspection time is reflected in the cost of service. And so hosts of more than one temporary food establishment at one event, if they again are covering the cost. Previously, there has been a fee that is listed in the Sherborn Board of Health fee schedule for food establishments where any there was no distinct number, but it was multiple temporary food establishments for one event was $150, and that in turn ended with permits costing less than $7 for certain events. And so that is an entire day of work for our food inspector to be there and inspect everything, and it was not reflecting that in the fee. And so when more than one temporary food establishment will be at an event, there will be a total fee reduction rather than a complete fee waiver to reflect the cost of service for the processing of the permit and inspections of the temporary food establishments. The reason that we're not requiring them to provide us with any documentation of nonprofit status is because when we have multiple temporary food establishments at one event, for example, the Pharmapalooza or Dudley Fest, our food inspector only has to go to one place. And so if they would like to request a fee reduction, we can reflect that for them and show because our food inspector is not having to drive around town or come to multiple events, where he's only going to be there for the one day. And so the fee reduction is calculated in accordance with the level of risk associated with each establishment. And so for temporary food establishments, it goes from 35 to 10. And that is for non-time temperature controlled foods. For pre-prepared time temperature controlled foods, the fee goes to 15, and for made to order time temperature controlled foods, the fee is reduced to 25. And this again exclusively reflects the time that it takes for our inspector to complete an inspection of this type of establishment. So the reason that it's not a consistent percentage is because it does take more time for them to conduct an inspection of a made to order time temperature controlled for safety establishment than a time temperature controlled pre-prepared establishment, if that makes sense. Again, the Board of Health staff will be tasked with each application for a fee waiver and will utilize the outlined provisions to determine if they qualify for a fee waiver or reduction. Staff will inform the applicant of their decision via email. For applications that do not meet the explicitly outlined criteria in the policy, but the Board of Health staff deem may qualify for a fee reduction or waiver, they will be brought before the board for review. The board will exercise its discretion to grant a fee waiver or reduction. Should the board decide to grant a fee reduction, the fee must be no less than 50% of the original fee. This provision does not apply to town Sherborn departments. There will be no appeal process for fee reductions or waivers. And then we have the this is what the application for a formal request to waive a fee for a food establishment permit looks like. And that is where we are at now. I've received comments from our co-chair, Daryl Beardsley, who's not here right now. I have not had time to review them yet, but if you have any comments or questions that you would like me to address now, I'd be happy to do so. And Mark, I would love your input as well with your experience from Ashland.
I'd be glad to look at it. I haven't seen it until tonight, so be glad to take a look at it. And being in the field for 40 plus years on food inspections, I'll try to add any valuable insight. It can get complicated, I know that, and sometimes you're better off just waiving as you noted, to the town departments waiving the fees. It just creates more work to be doing nothing more than that for town departments. As it relates to non-profit, well, that's a whole different story, and it depends on how you look at it. It gets very complicated. It puts, unfortunately, Sarah, or whoever is in your spot, it puts you in a difficult position as well. But take a look at it and go from there.
Yep, we're trying to avoid that as much as possible by outlining as many situations as we can think of before we get to those uncomfortable situations. Julie, Steve, Bo.
Sorry, I was muted.
That's okay.
And it is for anyone who would be seeking a waiver or a reduction. It is helpful for them to see the expectations or the guidance at the outset. Again, just so that they know what the standard process is. I haven't gotten to delve into this deeply, nor have I gotten to look at Daryl's comments, and I'm sure she would want to participate in the discussion to articulate her comments. But I think the kind of the synthesis of this is if a vendor is going to be generating a profit, then there isn't a circumstance for a fee waiver or a fee reduction. And that makes sense to me. Thank you for putting this together, Sarah. I think this has been an ongoing discussion, at least for the 3 years that I have been on the board, of how we need to have a standardized process so that we can be consistent and outline expectations to people coming before us. So it's nice that we got this ball rolling. Bose and Steve, do you have any kind of initial comments? Otherwise, we are gonna bring this back at potentially the June 3rd meeting.
I guess I don't know. The way I looked at it is, and I think Julie, you just said it is, we're not charging, especially when it comes to interdepartmental, we're not charging an interdepartmental cost, okay? It's coming from the profits of the vendor that's going to be on site. So I'm having a hard time trying to justify that. Same thing with nonprofit as well. The fees are coming from the vendor. They're not coming from the nonprofit, and they're not coming from the department within Sherborn. So I'm not sure why they need to be waived unless the department could make or the nonprofit could make a really good case for it.
Yeah, that's
I
exactly
don't know, maybe I'm looking at it too simplistically.
that's exactly my thought too, Steve. I mean, it's the vendor who's paying the fee. And why is the host requesting that? I understand the baseball, the one associated with the baseball, because I think kids run it and it's within that organization. So they are the people who buy the stuff that is being sold too. They are the vendors there, isn't it? Right?
Well, when we think about the host applying for the fee waivers, again, it actually does go back to Dover Sherborn Youth Baseball and also the Friends of the Library. So those organizations generally offer to cover the permit fees for those establishments to come to their event. It is sort of their incentive for them. And so, because they are the ones covering the permit fees, no matter what we say, if we tell them it has to come from the establishment, they will still generally reimburse the establishment. And we want to be cognizant of that and understand that Sherborn isn't the biggest town in the world. And so, for these establishments to come, and if, for example, they are selling something that costs them, if it costs them $8 to make and then they sell it for, I don't know, $15 or $10, and then they don't sell enough and then they're paying their people. And I speak of this coming from the background of, I actually grew up in a family that owns a food truck. And so I'm very intimately familiar with the cost of running a food truck. And for some trucks, it simply becomes not worth it for them to come to the event. And then the host loses the appeal of the event for the people to come. And if that event is a fundraiser, then they are losing.
No, but my question there is $50 gonna make a change?
Yeah.
We're talking about $50.
Yeah.
Can actually affect their profit margin. And as Sarah was saying, getting, especially when you are going to have an event, and I'll give the library concert series, for instance, because long time ago, I ran that event. It can be very hard to get a vendor to come to your event when you cannot guarantee a certain amount of patronage. And so some vendors would require that you pay them a minimum, which of course is, nonprofits, you really can't do that. And so kind of the best incentive you have is to offer to at least pay the fee. But that doesn't, since the vendor would still potentially be generating a profit, I don't think that means that the host should be getting a fee waiver. I think that's just kind of the cost of them doing hosting their event.
Well, the other option is to use a catering service, right?
Yeah.
Those still cost a lot of money.
Those still cost, and then you have
a catering license. Sorry, go ahead, Julie.
You have to oftentimes you have to have an idea of how many people are attending an event, and for many public events, you just don't know.
What I would suggest is obviously bring it back to the full board, but Tom Curran, who has worked in several towns and including the city of Boston, where he's employed full-time, he may have some insight as well. So, I would suggest he may know what outside the region, he might know what other towns are doing and so forth. So I'd ask if you could ask Tom to also inquire, just find out, what's happening in smaller towns, because he works for a few small towns.
Mark, that's a good idea, just to get some best practices that other towns are using, and maybe we can adopt those.
Tom has looked at it briefly, and he said it looked good. But I will run it by him more in detail to see what he thinks.
Yeah.
Or maybe if we have, after the next read with the board, if we have any questions or alterations to what has been proposed here, I think just, again, isolating in respect to Tom's time, any of those questions or particular changes that we have, just to see what Tom thinks about that. I
Yeah.
agree. Tom's
There's one other thought I had. So for an event, if it's one vendor or if it's 10 different vendors, right? For example, the one at Unity Farm has like 10 or 15 food service people going there for that event. So for the library event, is it one vendor or a few vendors going to that event?
8 or 10.
10. All right.
I don't
Okay.
remember how many.
So
Sarah would
that
actually know. It's greater than 5 and I think less than 12.
So
Library for the craft fair or for Dudley Fest?
I think he's referring to the craft fair.
The craft fair, we had 9.
Okay.
And at the library festival, I used to inspect that. I was the food inspector in Sherborn for several years.
Right.
And it's nice if they're all in the same location, but then you have I forget, it's the men's group that was cooking hamburgers. Sometimes that takes longer to educate than the vendors who typically know the way around. The state's looking at licensing food vendors at a state level, so they wouldn't have to come through it's hard on them. They have to come through every city and town and get licensed and approved. The only thing though is not losing the inspection process. If the state's going to license them, to make sure they are inspected so they're safe. So this is being discussed with the state as well, because the food vendors are looking at their profits and how many fees they have to pay to go around. But hopefully the event will draw enough people to purchase and allow that profit to be gained. But I understand too, sometimes depending on the event, they may not gain a lot of profit. But I've been out of the food business inspection for about 6 years, so I would tap into Tom's knowledge as well.
No, what I was getting at was if there are 5 vendors, it's $250. That we're waiving, right?
50%.
So for when there is kind of an event with multiple vendors and it's the host applying, which is typically like the best example. We don't have many of these in town in Tiny Sherborn. The best example is the Arts and Crafts Fair for the library that we just enjoyed.
Yeah.
Except for the weather, and as usual. But for that, the host, which is the Friends of the Sherborn Library, are the ones who actually pay the fees as an enticement to get those vendors to come. The vendors can still generate a profit if they get the foot traffic, but any profits they generate do not go back to the library.
So also for a multiple event situation like that, we would not waive the fees for that, which is outlined in the multiple establishments per event provision of the policy, where the reduced fee reflects the cost of the inspection. So previously, we had this encompassing $150 fee, which was not accurately reflecting the amount of time that would take to do 9 to 10 inspections. And so we have adjusted that accordingly to match the different amount of time it takes for different types of establishments.
Because at the end of the day, Bose, we the amount of money that we expend in our operating budget relative to the overall fees that we take in from all of the permits that we issue, that is thoroughly indicated in the budgeting process. And so it has become clear over the years that we needed this fee schedule update to better, as Sarah has pointed out, reflect the actual cost of time for our staff. So we're hopeful that we've gotten that right. But if we then just start waiving too many fees, we're not going to actually capture that. So this is just kind of trying to follow along with the process, which we've been told consistently over the years in the budgeting process that we need to actually capture the time of our staff. All right, it's getting late, and I'm going to say I'm going to suggest we table this to continue the discussion and kind of a third read through of this at the next meeting. That I would like to, I realized for the meeting minutes, we have 2 sets of meeting minutes that have been drafted and yet to be approved. The first is for April 8th and the second is for May 6th. I do not believe we can vote on either of these tonight because we will not be able to have a majority vote of the board. Bose did not participate in any of those meetings, and so I imagine would probably at least abstain. And so then I don't think we can approve the meeting minutes with only 2 votes of the board. I think that we have to wait until we have enough members that can vote so that we have at least a majority vote, which is 3. So I recognize that pushes our April meeting minutes out, kind of
We're
at
still
the
within the window.
still within the window.
As long as we do it, it has to happen at the next meeting.
Yeah, I think that we have to do that. I agree. So at the next meeting, so resolving that agenda item, moving on to our June 3rd agenda items. So we know that we're going to have the meeting minutes from April 8th that we have to vote on. Hopefully we'll be prepared to vote on the first May meeting of 6th. If they are drafted and prepared, we will have the meeting minutes from today and the 20th. We also are going to review the temporary food permit for Jennifer Lee's Bakery. Mark, I believe we are going to have Sweet Meadow Farm on, is that correct? For the hand washing?
If we get to the point of the needed information, yes, Sweet Meadow Farms as it relates to a waiver they're requesting and had requested through it's the license, the people that license the plumbers and gas fitters.
The State Board of
agency.
Plumbing Examiners.
Thank you, state. Yeah, I always get the front part mixed up. So the question would be is, does the
Actually,
board
Mark,
have
I
any
wanted to connect
interaction?
with you about that tomorrow because Chris Canny came in today and I asked him how it applied to the plumbing specifically. And it's more about the fact that we can discuss it in the office tomorrow. There's
It's one of those things they want to bring in a trailer like you see at weddings with water for hand washing and toilets, and it's all captured in the tank. Whatever it is, I'll have to review with DEP to make sure it's within the confines of the state codes. With that said, I'll wait for Sarah to give me an update on where Chris is at. But I think it was Darrell, but I'm not for sure. Someone was questioning. Doesn't the Board of Health also have a part in the appeal process? If so, we'll find out. I'll talk to you tomorrow, Sarah. I'm probably speaking a little bit without the knowledge. So, but that could be on back. But back to Julie's note, that could be on the agenda for discussion.
Okay. It's a big possibility.
Yeah.
We have variance hearings scheduled for our next meeting.
I have none. Mark?
Not that I know of. I don't know of any. I know we just received a septic plan for 97 Bullard. That's where all that farmland's located, in the trustees of the reservation submitted a plan. So I'll be looking at that, but I don't believe that could be scheduled that quickly. But the one that will be on is 155 Maple, and there's a possibility, but I'm waiting for the engineer to update the plan, is 93 Goulding West. They want to change out the present septic system to a different septic system. So I'm waiting on Eric to overview that with me. He knows we have to do that. So that's my potential agenda for the next meeting on June 3rd.
Okay. If we have other items that come up, so board, if there are, Bose, if there are other items that come up, the way it works, if you're interested in having, or if you feel like there's a need to have an agenda item, you reach out to Sarah and you let Sarah know. And if there are questions, she usually runs it by Mark, Darrell, and I. But we try to have the agenda, at least a draft, posted the Friday before a Wednesday meeting. And per open meeting law, it has to be then finalized by midday Monday, end of the day Monday. before.
Unless there's a holiday, and we were
Then,
talking
right,
about,
so when you have a Monday holiday, it gets all
yeah.
screwy.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then you're back a day. Usually if it's a Monday holiday, you're skipping back to the other week.
When it's over the summer, if it's a Monday holiday, because town hall is closed on Fridays, we have to send in meeting agendas the Thursday before. And Bose, just for your knowledge, I'll usually try to send a draft agenda with all of the meeting documents to the board on Thursday or Friday before the meeting. And then I'll post the agenda to the website on Monday. And I try my best to get out minutes as soon as I finish them, but sometimes they take quite a long time.
Sorry.
Depends on the meeting. Town hall will not be open on Fridays this summer. Was that determined?
That is what I've heard. I have not received official confirmation, but that is the scuttlebutt, if you will, that I've heard from multiple people.
Okay, so they're proposing to, again, like they did last year, have town hall completely closed on Fridays and maybe extend hours on the other 4 days. Okay, can you let us, once that official determination is made, can you let us know? That would be helpful. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I actually have two things that I'm going to talk about.
Oh, I'm sorry. I retract my motion.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Sarah. Go ahead.
It's okay. So in addition to the fee policy, the public health survey is set to close on June 1st. So I'm hoping to have an update on that, including the number of people we've gotten to respond and the next steps on that, just as another update.
Thank you.
Oh, I haven't done that. I should.
I did
You
mine.
should do that.
Oh, you did?
Yes, to anybody watching this meeting, please go and complete it. That is on the record.
And that is
Oh.
being performed by a consultant retained by Shared Services. It is
Yes.
not being done interdepartmentally.
No.
I'm sorry, was there another item, Sarah, before I call for an adjournment?
There is another temporary food ice cream permit that we're gonna have to review. However, that is the situation where they are being contracted out by the town for one event for the library and one event for the Council on Aging, and they charge the Council on Aging and the library a flat fee, including their permit fee. And I don't know how we're gonna handle that. So
Okay.
that would be a discussion.
Okay.
As
Yeah,
well.
we should actually have that one on.
Yeah.
Anything else? No? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
No further discussion.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Those Scotch Purakalai.
Julie Dreyfus, aye. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.